Hey y'all, welcome back. We're going to be doing both house elves today, both Dobby and Kreature from Harry Potter miniature adventure game from Night Models. Little different, not doing an intro. It seems like it might be a waste of time because I can just talk about the model right here. What do I need to do an intro for? We can just get right into it. So we're using some flat flesh here. We're going to cover both models equally. What we're going to do is the parts that are the same for both, I'll do both at the same time, jumping back and forth between them. And then the parts that are different, I will start working on one at a time. So at first here, we're doing both Dobby and Kreature with the same skin tone. Now we're taking some fairy flesh, and this is going to really lighten up. You can see how pretty red the models are with that regular flesh tone. But this really brings them into the color that they should be, that matches the movie and the game artwork and everything like that. We're going to just pick out all of the places that you would believe would receive more of the light. So the top of muscles, leaving the redness down in the joints and under the arms and everything like that. So you can use the reddish flesh here, and this is mixed with the original skin tone. You don't want pure red flesh. What we're doing here is getting the lips and then the eye sockets. This is before we've painted the eyes. We're going to do the eye sockets and then also inside the ears. And we're doing this on both Dobby and Kreature. So I know this is moving a little quickly, but these parts are really, really easy. All I've done is base coated the skin, did a first highlight on the skin, a couple coats of that, and then we're putting some of the detail into the darkest recesses, which is the ears and the lips and the eye sockets. So now highlight skin gets mixed in to the mixture of the fairy flesh and flat flesh here, and that is going to be going on to the brightest section. So we want that on just the top of the muscles and the arms and highlights such as that. You can see Dobby I've already done. Basically I did one and then showed the other one, but we're lining the nose, the eyebrows, the ears. You don't want to focus so much on the eyes, around the eyes yet, because once you start doing the eyes, you're going to have to redo the skin to make the eyes look correct. But I am picking out the forehead, the curves on their jawline and their cheekbones. Just trying to make them look like the character that they are. So here I am, I zoomed in really, really far to show that I'm going to use an Ivory. And the Ivory, I'm going to paint the whole eyeball here of Dobby. So unfortunately with zooming in, the color quality kind of goes away. But you want to paint the entire eyeball. And then Dobby and Kreature both have really bright blue eyes. So I'll use a blue to come in and do the pupil, which I don't think I show because it's always really difficult to do that. But the important thing here is, see the eye sockets are really dark. And then with the bright white eyes, if you put in white, it's going to be too bright. So then you want to use the skin to come and clean it up. And now you can see Dobby's eyes actually look like Dobby's eyes as I use the skin tone to clean him up. Now looking at him from underneath here, his eyes look a little weird. But when you look at him straight on or from top down, they look perfect. Probably the best eyes I think I've done so far on any model. So I'm using Khaki here for his cloak, and this is for his, I don't know what to call it, his rags basically. I'm going to do a different one for him than I am for Kreature, just to give them, you know, some of that personality and make sure that you can tell them apart on the table. So I'm not putting Agrax Earthshade on the entire model. This is one of the few times that I've done this. I'm actually just using the Agrax Earthshade with a little bit of water and putting it into all of the shadows of the coat. I keep calling it something different. It's really a rag. He's basically in a potato sack. So to make this look like a potato sack, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade to darken down just the shadowed portions of his sack. That sounds really weird. So just of his clothes here. That's what we're going to call it, his clothes. So now we have Ivory, and the Ivory I mix in with the Khaki. And what you can see I'm doing is I'm not painting straight across. This is not a single brush stroke. Because I want to give a ton of texture to this, what I'm going to do is just do vertical lines over and over and over again. Little tiny vertical lines, very light. And then each time I'm going to add more and more and more ivory until I get to almost a pure ivory. And each time I'm going to do less and less of the lines in a smaller and smaller portion. So the same highlight that you would normally be doing if you were to be coating with just a single brush stroke, it's coming out the same amount of color and tone, but the main difference is that I'm trying to give texture to the model. And you can't give texture to the model by just brushing across. So you have to do these little cross stitches, which just going vertical lines over and over and over again seems to be the best way to get that to work. You can see I'm only doing this on the raised portions of the clothes. You don't want to hit any of those shadows that you created with the Agrax Earthshade. Otherwise, you're basically voiding out the whole point of doing that. Now for Kreature, we're going to make his a bluish black. So coal black from P3 is a really good base coat to use if you're going to do a coal, like a dark bluish black. So you want to be careful with him and make sure that you don't touch any of the skin, since we already did the skin, but you want a nice even coat across the whole model. Now for his shadows on his rags here, we are going to use Nuin oil, which is black wash. And I have it pretty thin. I'm not using it straight out of the pot. You can see also I'm only using it on the tip of my brush here and making sure that I control it to put it just in the recesses of his clothes. You can also see that I'm trying to fight against gravity here, and I'm starting at the lowest point and then dragging the brush up and letting go that way. That puts the darkest shadow at the top and then the lightest shadow at the bottom. And now we're going to do the exact same thing we did on Dobby, which is add some ivory to the coal black and now do vertical swipes, little slash marks over and over and over and over again. So you can see right here I'm trying to really kind of trace in those highlights to make sure that I can see them. So I'm not doing the slashes yet, but the only reason I did that is because I wanted to be able to see them clearly, to see what I was working on. But we want to give it that texture. So as you add more and more of the ivory into it, you just want to keep doing those little slashes, 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 and that really makes it look like a sack and less like a nice cloth or fabric. Because if you do it the other way, it's just going to look like, you know, like clothes, like cotton or anything like that, and that's not really the look of the house elves. The house elves are supposed to be in really dirty rags and things like that. So going through and giving them the little slash marks over and over and over again really, I think, brings out the character in the clothes and allows them to look like, you know, how they're supposed to be represented. So here they are up close. I think they turned out excellent, and it's a testament to the quality of these minis also. They are so well sculpted. But I think they both came out so neat and so awesome, and they're very, very quick. Unfortunately, they are part of the all-in pledge only, so they aren't going to be available to everybody. I also put them on some custom bases, but you know, let me know what you guys think. Definitely like, comment, and do not forget to subscribe. I've also painted up a couple other models, and they're on my Instagram at MemoriesofWe. Let me know what model you would like to see painted next. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.